In today's world, if you can't speak in English, then it can cause you a lot of trouble. You may not get the promotion you deserve at your workplace. You may not enroll yourself into your dream college. You may not get expected grades just because you could not give effective presentation in front of hundreds of people in English, or probably you may not get better opportunities in your life. So overall, we can say that knowing to speak in English has become extremely crucial. But don't get confused over here, because I'm talking about knowing to speak in English. Because there are so many people who can read in English, who can write in English, they can even understand English, but they are having some sort of issue speaking in English. But I was not even one of them. I still remember when I first started learning English, I was not even able to understand English. And it's pretty obvious for me. I didn't feel ashamed. I did not really feel that why don't I know English? Because I come from a background where nobody really speaks in English, and it's not a prior language for people. And along with that, I have done my entire academic education in Hindi medium, so that's why not knowing English was completely okay for me. English language always used to seem an alien to me because I had never heard anybody speaking in English, and I never dared to read any books in English because this was one of the subjects I have always hated. Back in school, we had one subject in English, and we always used to look at it as a subject because at that time nobody actually guided us that it is not a subject, it's a language. So you are supposed to look at it as a language. So I always hated English because this was one of the subjects I have always struggled with, because I was able to score pretty good marks in all other subjects, but when it comes to English, I hardly used to get passing marks. So that's why I always hated English, and that's how I got into university without knowing English. And I did not really struggle over there because nobody was actually pressurizing us to know English and even to understand English, because my university conducts classes in Hindi language. So if you are someone who is coming from English medium and you would like to continue your study in English language, then you will have to manage everything by yourself, because you will be provided notes only in Hindi language. But very soon I realized that whatever I am studying may not provide me those kind of opportunities what I am looking for. Although I was not very sure what exactly I had to do in my life, but one thing was very clear in my mind, that I have to do something different. So I decided to research about it, that what are the things I am supposed to do and how can I make them happen. So while I was researching about these things, I encountered a sentence which literally blew my mind, and it was, if you are someone who is able to speak English fluently, then it can bring a lot of opportunities for you. But back then, probably I did not understand the meaning of that sentence, or else I don't know. But one thing got fixed in my mind, that if I can't speak in English fluently, then I won't be able to get better opportunities, and I won't be able to do all the things which I have always dreamt to do. So I would say having that goal played a major role to make me fluent in English. So that's why I always emphasize you guys to have a goal which can make you fluent in English, which can always motivate you to do your task, to complete all the things which you have decided to do for yourself. Because when we are trying to learn a language, we are tapping into the whole different things which we have never done before. So when we try to learn a language, many times we feel like giving up, we feel like completely burnt out, overwhelming. It feels really awkward, because I can't even put it in words how exactly it feels, because I'm sure many of you can relate it to yourself, because that's what kind of situation we go through at that moment. But if you have a goal which is actually motivating you, then no matter how many difficulties are going to come in your way, you will easily handle them. Many people question me that what type of goal do I need to have which can motivate me. I should not be suggesting this to you, but probably it may help you. I mean, if you're someone who is struggling with having goal, then you can take up these goals and just work on it. So if you're someone who is a student, then you can have a goal like, if I have to get into this college, which is your dream college, or if I have to give presentation in front of my entire class, then I must focus on learning to speak in English. Or if you're someone who is trying to crack any interview, then you can have a goal that if I will be able to speak English fluently, then I will be able to crack any interview. Or if you're someone who is working, then you can have a goal that if I have to get promotion at my workplace, then I need to know English. So I have to speak English fluently no matter what. So once I was done with that mindset that if I can't speak in English, then I won't be able to get better opportunities in my life, or probably I will always be unemployed. So it was extremely scary for me because I did not really want to be unemployed. I still don't want to be unemployed. So I think nobody wants to be unemployed, right? So if you are having that goal that if you can't speak in English, then you won't be able to get this or that, then it will always motivate you. So once I was done with the mindset, I started researching about how to speak English and how to learn English. So I went to YouTube and started watching multiple videos that how can I learn English easily, quickly, at home, for free. And there were so many things I researched about, and I have watched, I don't even know how many videos I watched. It took me around 2 to 3 months to finally understood that everybody is talking about same thing. I just have to follow all the steps. But while I was researching about it, I encountered a sentence, it was a word which is fluent. And now I started running behind this one word, fluent. How to become fluent in English in 30 days, how to become fluent in English in 3 months, how to become fluent in English in 6 months. I started researching these questions, and it's really funny for me because now when I look back at myself, I feel what exactly I was doing. Why the hell I was running behind this word fluency? This is a word now I laugh at, but once upon a time I used to run behind this word. So I just finally watched around 50 to 60 videos that how to learn English. It took me around 2 to 3 months to complete all the videos, and finally I realized that I have to focus only 4 aspects, which is reading, writing, listening and speaking. So I began watching a lot of YouTube videos in English, but again I had to go through a lot of trouble because first of all I was not understanding most of the words except a very few words. So I was hardly understanding 5 to 10%, and rest of the things were going out of my mind. I was like, what exactly I'm doing? And the next thing was that most of the videos were available either in American accent or British accent, which I was not able to understand at all. So it took me some time to figure out an Indian accent which I was able to understand, and fortunately I could find few YouTube channels where people were making videos in English, which actually helped me to speak English fluently now. So the first YouTube channel I encountered was Joe's Talks, which was available in Indian accent, and I would say it has been really beneficial for me because there was a time when I was really struggling to understand English, but many speakers were speaking pretty slow, and it has been helping me a lot. So I would say if you're someone who is struggling to understand English, if you're someone who is just about to start, and even though if you are not about to start, it's all right, you can watch their videos because they have been really helpful to me, so probably they may help you too. By the way, most of the words I was not able to understand, but I used to look at subtitles, and then all the words which I could not understand, I used to write them down in a piece of paper and then used to search the meaning of that word. And once I got to know the meaning of those words, again I used to go back to that video and start watching that video, and this time I was understanding a little bit. So this was a process I have followed for a very long time. So while I was watching a lot of videos, I decided to read books But unfortunately back then I did not have books, because as I mentioned that I am completely from Hindi medium, so I didn't have any book which was available in English. So what exactly I did, I used to go to Google and started researching about articles, and there were so many articles which you can find according to your level of proficiency in English, and you can read those articles. So that's what I did in the beginning. So I started watching a lot of YouTube videos in English, and I started reading articles as well, so that I can help my English to be improved a little bit. So I started spending enough time with the language. I shouldn't be saying enough, because it was actually too much. I was spending around 8, 9, 10 hours every single day learning this language, which is crazy. And definitely I would not recommend you to do that, because only I know what type of consequences I am having just because of that phase. So yeah, don't try this. But there's one thing I would like to tell you, that this is how I did not really start, because in the beginning I used to spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and gradually I started increasing the amount of time I was putting on learning this language. So while I was following these two steps, watching and reading, I started writing as well, because I got to know that I am not able to speak at all. So I decided to start writing first, and then I will be able to speak English fluently. So I used to write many things. In the beginning, I was not able to construct proper sentence without making grammatical mistakes, but I used to construct small sentences such as I wake up at this time, I went to my school, I came back from my college, like this kind of stuff. So that's what exactly I did. So while I was following, reading and watching, I decided to produce output, because I was spending enough time with the language. I was spending a lot of time putting input. So I thought, okay, let me produce output, but at that time I was not able to speak at all. So I decided with writing. I just allowed some time to myself that you have to start writing, because this is one of the best ways to do if you are someone who is not able to speak English. Because in this way you are able to use all the vocabulary which you have been learning. You can construct sentences. So that's what I did. I started with writing, and whatever sentences I wrote down in a piece of paper, I used to say that out loud over and over again, so that I can speak English fluently. I followed these 3 steps, watching, reading and writing, for around 4 to 5 months continuously, and then I realized that now I am able to speak English a little bit. Although I was not speaking fluent English, my English was horrible. It was completely broken, but I had to keep going. I had to speak no matter how broken my English is, because nobody is going to correct them for me, because I have to do it for myself. I always used to set time for myself, that I will be speaking for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, and I always spoke for those minutes. But it's true that I always used to look at the clock, that when that time will be over, but I spoke for those minutes. And whenever I did not make it happen, let me give you example. Whenever I said that okay, I will be speaking for 5 minutes, but I just procrastinated and I did not speak, I just punished myself for it, that tomorrow you will be speaking for 10 minutes. So that kind of compensation I had always set for myself, because it was motivating me to complete my task. And in around 9 to 10 months, I was able to speak pretty good English. Although I was not fluent in English yet, but I could improve my English so much, because I was able to describe my ideas, I was able to construct proper sentences without making too much grammatical mistakes, and I was able to talk about my feelings and all the things which was in my mind. And I could improve my English without talking to anybody, without ever connecting to any English speaker. So that's why I always mention in my videos that I could improve my English just by myself, following multiple tactics. I mean, there are so many things which you can do to improve your English just by yourself at home. So while I was learning English, I did not take a break even for a day. That's why I always felt burnt out, but I used to study English every single day, no matter how sick I was, but that's what I did. So in 10 months, I was able to improve my English and I was able to speak English pretty good, but now I needed to boost my confidence because I was lacking confidence while speaking in English. I was able to speak English to myself, but I thought that if I have to speak in front of someone else and if I have to speak in front of hundreds of people, then how am I supposed to do it? Then I started using many apps which helped me to improve my English and I started boosting my confidence. So it took me around 2 months to boost my confidence and speak English fluently. So overall, I can say that it took me complete 1 year to speak English fluently. By sharing my journey, I definitely don't mean that I want to flex about it. I mean, definitely I'm not flexing about it. I just wanted to motivate you and just wanted to tell you that no matter what is your background and where you come from, you can become fluent in English and you can give effective presentation in front of hundreds of people in English. So you always have to learn English. You always have to keep going every single day because learning a language is a lifetime process. So we are always supposed to learn. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you get some sort of motivation from this video and enjoyed watching this video. Then please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and I will see you very soon in the next video. Bye bye.